Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Low Key About Sports podcast. Today, I'm going to be talking about the main talking point from the Qatar Grand Prix, which obviously, as we all know, was the clash between both Mercedes drivers, George Russell and Sir Lewis Hamilton. So to start off, obviously, I guess the first thing would be apportioning blame. Who was to blame is the question I think everybody's asking, but well, maybe not most people are asking because they think it's quite obvious. I think there's two sides to it. I think it was Lewis Hamilton's fault, and obviously he came out afterwards and put his hands up, and rightly so. And something we've come to expect from him generally, at least in the last couple of years in his career. Some wouldn't say, at least according to 2021, but yeah, at least he's come out and he's kind of held his hands up and said that he takes full responsibility, and rightly so. I do think there are a few caveats to that. Actually, I don't think it's that black and white, and I think what this means going forward could be actually very significant, especially if Mercedes are able to pull together a championship winning car, because you look at it. And I think the first question most people had was Hamilton starting on softs, George on the mediums. Why was that the case? Why did they feel the need to split the strategies at the start in that way if they didn't have a plan? And obviously that plan being for Hamilton to go through, because really you don't start Hamilton on the soft tyres if you don't intend for him to try and challenge Max, because I'm sure they didn't do it for him to get past George. So what was the arrangement? Was there an arrangement? Is that something that maybe they're not telling us? Because I guess if Lewis did come out and say, well, he was supposed to let me through, then that would be a lot worse than what he did, because at the end of the day, it was his fault. He didn't give George enough room on the inside. My question is, knowing that Lewis is on the softs, did George need to attack Verstappen in the way that he did? Because really, if that was the plan, then they would have put George on the softs, no? I guess that's a question you'd ask for yourself. But all in all, obviously, it was Lewis's fault. He didn't leave him enough room. He did cut in quite aggressively, and part of me thinks that Lewis Hamilton's a very calculated person. He obviously didn't do it intentionally, but I think the move he was trying to pull on Verstappen with in that way, the kind of aggressive manner he swept around the outside, I feel like he kind of put it in George's hands there, in my opinion, because when you think back to some of Lewis's, well, Valtteri Bottas, for example, he probably wouldn't have put his car there. He probably wouldn't have gone to the outside of Max, and even then he probably would have backed out, knowing that Lewis was on his outside on the soft tyres trying to steam round. And actually, Lewis was slightly ahead, it looked like, of Verstappen, or they were at least level. So he was carrying so much extra speed that he was probably going to take the lead. And again, he's on the soft tyres, so that would have been the intention of Mercedes. But I just feel like this clash of Hamilton and Russell it's been coming, and it was my thoughts after the Japanese Grand Prix. I did say they're going to crash very soon, because I think what we're seeing is Lewis Hamilton trying to put his foot down over a teammate who has got a lot of talent. George Russell's very quick, a future world champion in most people's books. But Lewis Hamilton knows that his time on the grid is still limited. He's just signed a 2-year contract. He knows that he's going to have to be on his A game, and he's going to have the advantage over his teammate in a lot of ways. And that obviously also comes mentally. We've seen that with Hamilton Rosberg, how as much as it was on track that Rosberg was being dealt with, a lot of it was also in the mind. As you saw when he won the championship, he retired straight away. There was a reason for that. It wasn't by coincidence. Rosberg was destroyed. Mentally, he was drained, because it does take a lot out of you. So I think Lewis is definitely thinking about that as well. Unfortunately, it just didn't translate the way he would have wanted. He ended up in the gravel out of the race on lap one. George Russell was spun round as well. And funnily enough, somehow managed to finish ahead of Charles Leclerc. I think Ferrari, I don't know where their pace went, but that was actually pretty disgraceful from them. They had a real opportunity to at least pick up some points. Obviously, Carlos Sainz didn't start the race. But they had an opportunity to pick up some points over Mercedes, and somehow they managed to, maybe not through fault of their own. I just don't think they were very quick this weekend, which was quite surprising, bearing in mind they've been pretty quick the last couple of weekends that we've had. And that brings my review of this weekend's Qatar Grand Prix to an end. A big thank you for anybody who's got to this point in the video. Your likes, your comments are much appreciated. I definitely like to hear from you guys on your thoughts on the incident, whether you thought it was Hamilton's fault, Russell's fault, if you think there's anything underlying in the relationship that may come to pass later on. Just as another note, these videos are completely unscripted. I don't read off a script. I literally just go off what's in my head. So bear with me as I'm still getting to grips with the nuances of kind of talking to you guys. And hopefully as I'm able to bring some more content, the quality it improves with that. With that being said, again, thank you for tuning in to Loki About Sports. The next race is next week. Next week? So not this weekend, the weekend after, which will be the Austin Grand Prix over in Texas. It's my birthday that weekend, so I'm not sure I will have anything to release. Hopefully I will. Just to keep up to date, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on TikTok. These will be the two places that you'll kind of hear from me the most. And as soon as there is something or either a talking point or something that happens that is juicy for me to bite into, I'll definitely be releasing some content for you guys. So definitely subscribe to stay tuned. On that note, have a lovely rest of the day, and I hope to see you guys very, very soon.